Hey, what's up, your Life Without Pants here with another Path of Exile video. In today's video, we're going to talk about our league start plans for 3.21 Crucible. This is honestly a fantastic build. I was going to start EK Ignite, going Wave of Conviction into EK Ignite, but I did some research. Looking at the reveal as well, it seems like elemental or attack-based bow builds have got a huge buff, especially with all the power creep going on to bows in the, or weapon slots in the reveal trailer. I wanted to try this out for a long time anyway, and this is just a perfect opportunity for it. So let's dive straight into what we're gonna what our build is gonna look like. Now we start off in Act 1. I've got leveling trees for everything here. We're gonna go into the gearing sections and the skill sections later on. But we're starting off Act 1, we're coming straight over into ballistics, and this is going to pay off later, especially with the projectile speed, but the projectile damage is obviously very, very good. We're taking aspect to the eagle. I think I usually come straight over to ballistics and then take Heart of Oak first, because it's around this time you're going to kill Brutus. 8% increase max life, 20% chance to avoid being stunned is really, really nice in Brutus. And also regenerate 2% of life per second if you use a life flask in the past 10 seconds. Very strong in the Brutus fight. Then we're going to take Aspect to the Eagle is one I take next. And then by the time we're heading up Mervale, we've taken Finesse. And then that brings us into Act 2. And Act 2, we're going to rush straight for Precise Technique. So usually I have this by the time I'm doing Weaver, if you're using an optimized strategy here. So this just gives you 40% more attack damage if your accuracy rating is higher than your maximum life, which means you have to have a lot of accuracy. Accuracy is very important, so we're going to be stacking a lot of accuracy for the foreseeable future from Act 2. But it gives you 40% more attack damage, which is insane. We never do critical strikes. That's not a huge issue because our critical strike chance is pretty low, especially in Act 2. There's an option to go full crit later on. Then we're taking the bow damage and accuracy nodes. So we're taking these all the way up to Farsight, and then the bow mastery node, 100% accuracy rating per green socket on equipped bow, because you'll always have green sockets on your equipped bow, probably. I mean, it's very, very likely you will. So it's a way to keep us nice and comfy in the bow zone. Then onto Act 3. And we're coming down here to point blank, because I don't know about you, but I like to stand in the monster's face and shoot it with arrows right into its stupid face. Then taking bow and attack speed over here. I also come over to aspect of the links, because some move speed is always nice, 20% attack speed is always nice. The critical strike chance we don't really care about. But also Primal Spirit is really, really useful if you just need to boop up a little bit of strength and intelligence. Maybe you got, I don't know, Frostblink gem you're trying to level up. This is really, really useful. So just for 2 points early on, Primal Spirit is great. I unallocate it later on. So this brings up to Act 3. So we've killed the Vile Oversoul, and then finally into Act 4, and that's the end of Act 2. So we killed Dominus, and we take the Master Fletcher node. So bow attacks fire an additional arrow. That's really strong, and increases to and reductions to projectile speed also apply to damage with bows. Oh look, that ballistics node is paying off there with a 20% projectile speed. So that's really, really nice. Just for 1 point is an extra 20% bow damage. We're also taking watchtowers, and we're taking the left-hand side. It's quite important. We're taking the left-hand side because these sides, these are all crit strike chance, and we don't care about that. We're not crit. So this is just attack speed and totem placement speed, and then watchtowers gives us +1 number of summoned ballista totems, which is very strong as well, because we were currently at, you start off with 3, so this is 4, so your artillery ballista gets up 75%, no, 60, 33%. 33% increased damage from your artillery ballistas, which is very, very strong indeed. So this is what this Act 4 looks like, and then we're going to kill Malachi. We're going to straight off to Act 5. And here I take the accuracy and attack speed, because we want to make sure we get lots of accuracy and attack speed. And also when you're running around in Act 5, obviously it's really nice to get some extra health. So we're taking the Herbalism wheel here. Really strong nodes. I mean, it gives us 22% max life overall for 3 points. And then we're taking the Life Mastery of +50 to maximum life. This is just to make sure that we don't overstretch ourselves with the precise technique stuff here. And also, Act 4, I also forgot to mention, you take 1 with nature as well. And then we're off. We finish the first round of campaign, and we're off to Act 6. And I come straight up to Forces of Nature. Actually, I think I usually take this way over here. So Forces of Nature, which means we penetrate 10% of enemy elemental resistance. This is really, really good along with these. We used to take the 15% increased elemental all res. That's gone now though, so there wasn't anything here I really thought was super good. So this is what we look like on Act 6. Act 7, I'm just going to change that around. So we're taking the increased life nodes over here, and then we're taking some extra life around here as well, because Act 7 gets, you don't want to be too little life in Act 7, but make sure that you are, make sure that your accuracy rating is higher than your life though, because otherwise you're going to lose 40% total damage, which is insane. So Act 8, we're starting to take part of the weapon elemental damage nodes here. We're going over the top to Quick Step, which is like some suppressed chance because the spells get a little rippy at this point. Maybe you're opening a lot of strong boxes and dying to a lot of those frost novas that erupt out of those. We're also taking intuition as well. It's a bit of evasion rating, the spell suppression, max life. It's just a really nice defensive node. We're also taking the spell suppression innovate wheel over here, and you have phasing when you spell damage recently, and 8% while phasing. And that's important because of our labs that we're taking. I'll get into those in a bit. And then in Act 9, I'm going to keep modifying this. Oh, actually, no, this is why okay, now I understand why I took all these wheels. I'm going to unallocate that then. This is on purpose. I thought this through. So in Act 7, I'm going to just quickly boot this around. So then Act 9, we're going to take Charisma Wheel. It gives us a lot of reservation efficiency. We're going around the right-hand side of the weapon elemental damage and ailment effect wheel. So we're taking Primeval Force. It gives us just 25% increased elemental damage. And then during Flask effect, we get another 25 as well. So it's up to 50 if we're under Flask effect, which we are a lot of the time. And then in Act 10, we're just going up here and we're taking the Leech Mastery. So we've got life and mana on here, and then we've got some accuracy and critical strike chance. Now the critical strike chance we don't really care about too much, but the Leech node is quite important, I think, because you're getting some mana and life per hit. And honestly, you don't have to take this. You could take these 7 points here, and you could start moving towards Surveillance and Panopticon over here, because we're eventually going to be going that way. It's a lot of travel nodes, and the other option is you do it when you're in maps, and it can suck a bit to move through maps and not get those nodes. Or just to be allocating dex nodes when you level up. It feels pretty bad to be in white maps or in early yellow maps and just be allocating travel nodes. So it's up to you. The reason I do it is because I think this Leech Mastery node is going to be really good. I think it's something I'm going to want to have in white maps. And that's the 10% of Leech's instant. And you can also take the 1% of attack damage Leech as life and as mana, which means that I think most of the time when I have Clever Thief allocated, I don't really need to worry about life and mana in general. Like life, I transition into 4 flasks with just 1 life flask and 4 utility flasks. And we've still got precise technique allocated, so you still want to have the accuracy, the 100 accuracy there, which is just like 100 flat life, and then 20% increased global accuracy rating as well, which is very, very good. But in white maps, then we're coming over to Surveillance as well, and we just compare it with Act 10 one. So we unallocate this node over here. We add in this node rather, So adding in this node means that we can unallocate this one, this one, this one, and this one. So we add in 1, 2, 3 nodes here, and we can take 1, 2, 3, 4 travel nodes off. So it gives us an extra point. All those points matter, they really, really do. And then we add in the Leech and Clever Thief when it comes to white maps, and then we travel over to Surveillance. And that's going to really boost up our artillery ballista. This wheel here is crazy good for artillery ballista. Let's move in now to yellow map. So this is, I would say, what level is it? It's level 77. So that's firmly into yellow maps. I would say you're at least in tier 8 maps at this point. And we're taking Panopticon, which is just really strong node. Another +1 summon ballista totems for us. And then Golem's Blood, which is nice to regen 1.6% of life per second, and it's a very strong node on its own. And then I think that's the end of the modifications. Yeah, so it's largely the travel nodes that we spent here, which is, travel nodes are necessary sometimes. But then we're going to go yellow with Frenzy. So we're going to get some Frenzy. There's a Frenzy variant of this. So we're taking and this is level 89. So this is red maps really, I suppose. But we're getting the +1 to maximum frenzy charges here. We're taking the +1 here. We're taking the +1 here. And we're taking the Discipline of the Slaughter. So you get lots of chance to gain frenzy charges on kill. And this is, it's a lot of points at this point. There may be some things you might want to unallocate. If you're going full frenzy, because you do get a lot of damage from the frenzy charges, maybe you want to take off the Primeval Force wheel or something like that, but it's definitely the way that the build progresses towards frenzy charges and to crit. And then I've got another one with red maps and crit here. So we've added in the dual socket here. We've taken the Primeval Force wheel off, and we've added the lethality wheel over here. We've taken the crit strike, Heartseeker, etc., and we've got another dual socket here. And I think this is level 92. So this, I thought, like 92. There's no way you can do that in. Oh, I also took off the quick step here, but there's no way you could do level 92 in one day. And then I looked on PoE Ninja at what level people were in the previous league, and they were 97. So yeah, clearly 92 is quite lofty goals. I mean, I won't be level 92. Maybe you will. But this is what our tree looks like. Oh, and we should do a little bit about our Ascendancy as well, because no tree overview is complete without the Ascendancy. So in Act 4, I always do first lab as soon as I get into the Crystal Veins waypoint in Act 4. I go back and do first lab. And for this, we're taking Rapid Assault. You don't end up with this. These cost 5 Orbs of Regret or 5 passive respec points per. So this is actually 10 Orbs of Regret that we're investing here. But Onslaught is so good. It's such a huge buff. And Onslaught, the support gem, has been removed. So this is just 20% increased attack speed and movement speed. So this makes us zoom around the campaign so much quicker. Like I said, I had probably my quickest time ever with this build. Act, I think 7 or 8 is it? Act 8 is when we're going to do Cruel Lab, and we're taking Quartz Infusion, so we're getting phasing with that, and 40% chance to suppress spell damage. The suppressed spell damage, honestly, Act 8, you're going to be like, wow, why am I so tanky now? It's because you've got phasing and the spell suppression, and of course over here, 8% chance to suppress spell damage while phasing. We're always phasing now, so that's going to really, really help out. This is just with that wheel, and this, it brings us up to, I think, is it? Oh, it's 100%. Pretty good, right? So 100% by Act 8, very, very decent. And then I personally prefer to do Merciless Lab when I've capped res in white maps. And I don't think it's the right idea because... this is just... Okay, so in Act 10, you can go do Merciless Lab. And this here, this Avatar of the Veil, like it's another 50% chance to avoid elemental ailments while phasing. So that's just 50% flat Elia Void. And then the nearby enemies have fire, cold, and lightning exposure while you have phasing, which we always do, applying -20 to those resistances. This is a huge damage boost. I can't tell you how much -20 to the resistances of an enemy is. It's nuts. I think doing some calculations with... oh, actually, let's just go to our red maps and crit. And then main skill lightning arrow. Oh, this is, I got the skills from the wrong group. Let's go Endgame and crit swap. There we go. So, oh, is it because I don't have very good gear? Yeah, no, I've got bad items on. I think this turned out to be, I think it was like 30 or 40% damage for just this one node. So maybe if you want to like roll in to white maps with some very, very high DPS output, then you should take Avatar of the Veil. Or you should do it before you do Kitava. Honestly, I killed Kitava with this. It was so fast. All of the, everything gets phased so quickly with this. All bosses get phased really quickly with this. It's a very strong node, and I would highly recommend it. Once you get Uberlab, you're going this way for Uberlab, so we're going Way the Poacher, so you get the +1 max frenzy charges, and this leads into when you start maybe doing the frenzy swap. So you on-spec Onslaught, maybe you got a flask, a silver flask there for Onslaught, but this gives you so much extra frenzy juice, it's insane. So this is what our ascendancies look like. All right, so let's talk about our skills, and we're going to start off Act 1. We're going to take a Caustic Arrow as soon as we've killed Hillock at the gate, and whenever you can, just throw in Mirage Archer and lesser multiple projectiles. And Caustic Arrow is really, really good as a Act 1 clearer. It puts degen pools down on the ground. It's a really, really fantastic skill to start off with. We're going to take Shrapnel Ballista as soon as we get it, and added cold damage and pierce. So that if you have a 3-link, I think the most recent run I did, I had Caustic Arrow and only Mirage Archer, and that was it. Like, I didn't have any other thing. I didn't have... I had Shrapnel Ballista, but I didn't have any links. So if you don't get any links in Act 1, don't feel bad about it. You can quite easily clear it. And it was, again, my best time clearing with just a 2-link, so it's very, very good even on its own. So if you get these 2 links, and that's fine. Obviously keep these links in either, basically don't use the bow. Don't use the bow. Do not put stuff in the bow, because you want to be swapping your bow around all the time. So Frostblink and Precision, very good to get early on. You could take Dash. I think Frostblink's just better, because Frostblink you can affect the cooldown, whereas Dash you cannot. You don't need to level Frostblink. You can just leave it as is, but you get increased cooldown recovery for each normal or magic enemy in the area, and a bunch more for rare or unique enemies. So you can also use it as damage, and Dash you cannot do that. So this is what it's going to look like. Caustic Arrow, Mirage Archer, LMP, and then Shrapnel Ballista, added cold damage, and pierce. And then going into Act 2, you're just going to straight swap Lightning Arrow into your Caustic Arrow setup. And I always finish Act 1 with Caustic Arrow, because it's a very, very decent way to do it. And then when I'm in Act 2, as soon as I get into Act 2 and I'm headed to the den so I can get my second Quicksilver, then I'm swapping Lightning Arrow in, and it's a great clear speed. It's really, really good. You're looking for a green, red for elemental damage with attacks. Ele damage with attacks you don't get until you've killed Weaver. So that's something to look out for. Just, be on the lookout for green, red. And then we're going to chuck in Herald of Ice here, and that's for rescuing Helena in Act 2. Act 3, everything, it looks the same. This one looks the same. This one looks the same, except we're going to take Sniper's Mark. I believe that you get that for killing Gravicious. And then optional, you can take Blood Rage. Now, Blood Rage does a lot of damage to you. So maybe if your life flasks aren't up to date, then maybe don't take it. But if they are, and you can spam them and you get a lot of charges, then feel free to take this. It adds a decent chunk of damage. In Act 4, we're looking for 4 links in Act 4 are there around. You can use Orbs of Binding if you find any. I rarely do during the campaign, but if you find Orbs of Binding, you can use it on a green base, and then use chromes and hope for just 1 red. The lower the level and the lower requirements, then the more likely you are to get off-color sockets. But Lightning Arrow, Mirage Archer, Added Cold, and Elemental Damage with attacks for our main clear. And then for Artillery Ballista, we're just chucking in faster attacks, which you get in Act 2 for... Is that for killing? I think it's taking the spear to Silk. He can reward you with faster attacks. So you can pick that up in Act 2. And you're just gonna, if you get a 4 link, I would prioritize getting a 4 link for your Lightning Arrow, and then for your Artillery Ballista, then it's the same color as well. So it's green, 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 red, and this is a priority of things that you should put in. And again, nothing's changed in these, and you can chuck in Summon Stone Golem. At the end of Act 4, you will be given an option of a golem to choose, and Summon Stone Golem is pretty good. It gives you a bunch of life regen per second, so that can counteract the Blood Rage. Now, Act 5 to 10, basically it's going to look the same for Artillery Ballista, for Lightning Arrow, it's not going to change. You can throw in Purity of Elements if you're having resistance problems, or if you keep getting shocked, or if you keep getting chilled. Chilled is quite annoying during the campaign because it makes you go slow. But it's going to be the same for the entire rest of the campaign. Now you want to keep these out of your bow sockets, like I said before. When you get to white maps, let's say you got a 5 link now, big spender, you can just throw in GMP into your Lightning Arrow. Your clear is going to go through the roof. You're probably going to keep with your Artillery Ballista 4 link for a while. I think actually, yeah, Act 5 is when I change Frostblink to Flame Dash, because Flame Dash is just better than Frostblink. So you can maintain having Flame Dash in there. Herald of Ice and Precision and Sniper's Mark, all still great things to have in white maps. You could put Sniper's Mark with Mark on Hit as well, which is very good. Or yeah, and you could take Life Tap on that. If you're feeling adventurous, then Life Tap is a really, really good skill to have. I think I'm going to be going a Life Tap version of this build. So yellow and red maps, we've got a 6 link finally. So we've got Lightning Arrow, Mirage Archer, Life Tap, Chain, Added Cold, and GMP. And that's going to be a lot of clear. Then for our Artillery Ballista, we're still just in the same 4 link socket. If you can get a 5 link on a bow or something like that. So this one you can have in your body armor, and then this one you can have in a bow. Because once you get to yellow to red maps, you're not going to be upgrading your bow that often, right? And you're also there's going to be a lot less socket pressure as well, because you're going to have a lot more Jeweler's Orbs, and you're going to have a lot more fusings than in the campaign. And you can keep Herald of Ice, Precision, Sniper's Mark. They're really, really good. You could swap into, you can have Sniper's Mark here. So maybe I'll just remove that one. You can go into having Purity of Elements as well, because it's really, really good to keep you ailment immune. And the ailments in the yellow to red maps, they are pretty, pretty harsh. You could go with Grace as well. Just chuck in Grace here. There we go. You could go with Grace as well. It's there's lots and lots of options. Grace is going to give you a lot more evasion rating. You're going to dodge a lot more stuff. It's still going to be pretty difficult when you do get hit though. So I would recommend having a good set of flasks. And then the Endgame and Crit Swap. This is once you've swapped into critical version with lots of frenzy charges, all the stacks. So you're going increased critical strike chance on Lightning Arrow, Mirage Archer, Life Tap, Chain, and GMP. So this is gonna be insanely good. Artillery Ballista, you're gonna have a 6 link in your bow for Artillery Ballista, or conversely, you could have it in. You could have this these sockets are easier to get in a bow than perhaps these, because bows largely are dexterity based, so you're going to have lots of green sockets. It's going to be a lot easier. But for your artillery ballista setup, you can have elemental damage with attacks, life tap, increased crit damage and increased crit strikes, and then added cold damage. And this is gonna absolutely destroy stuff. It's really strong. Sniper's mark, mark on hit, life tap, and flame dash, all in a. I would put this in like boots or gloves or something. And grace, purity of elements, and vitality. You can chuck in vitality there. I've got it at level 1. You can put it up. It depends how much mana you've got reserved and what you've got anointed on your amulet, because maybe you got some great stuff on there. Anyway, this is what our end game crit swap and the rest of the skills look like. Let's take a look at our items. All right, so for our items, basically, you want to be always updating your bow. So do not socket stuff on your bow, because you cannot rely on those sockets being on the next bow. If you go from 50, if you find a 50 DPS bow, and then the next zone you find a 150 DPS bow, you're going to want to put that 150 DPS bow in, and if it doesn't have the right sockets, then it's going to be an issue. So with that said, what I would do is Act 1, you're just going with any kind of bow. You want move speed boots. These are 20% move speed, 10% move speed boots. You're not going to be able to get stallions goat hide boots. You'll just get runners goat speed boots, I think, or just get some runners boots. A couple of iron rings goes a long way, because it adds a lot of fizz damage to attacks, which is quite strong. And a rustic sash, because it gives you, you're going to get maybe up to 20% increased global fizz damage. And if you can find one, a lapis amulet, because then you get a bunch of int from that. And it's intelligence is one of the things that gates this, the gems from progressing. Lapis, strength and intelligence are a little bit difficult for this build sometimes. Act 2, it's basically the same kind of stuff. All you want on your helmet, your armor, your gloves is just life and resists. That's really it. It's pretty difficult. Oh, and the quiver, life, resists, flat damage is really good. Any of those, adds 1 to 8 lightning damage, or adds 2 to 6 cold damage. Those kinds of things, really, really good to get if you can find them. If not, then it doesn't really matter. And you're just going to maintain that throughout the entire campaign. You just want life, resists, and if you can get it, flat damage. And if you can get it, intelligence and strength. But don't pigeonhole yourselves into it. When it comes to the Act 3, and you get the choice of a rare amulet, I always choose the lapis amulet or the gold one. And the gold one if I've got lots of intelligence, and the lapis one if I'm dumb as heck, which I am most of the time. For the bow, you just want to be picking up rare bows off the ground, out of the trash, ID them, and just check if they're higher DPS than the one you've got. You can just put a new bow on and tooltip hover the skill, and then put the other bow back on, and it's really, really easy to do. None of this really changes until you get to early maps. And here's just a few uniques, I think, and these are really cheap uniques on day 1. These are 1 to 2C. I think the most, I think, is maybe the Here Is Truth. You could go with was it the Crew Reward as well? Yeah, you could go with the Crew Reward 2. That's also very good. It gives you, it gives you strength and accuracy, which is quite important, but also proj speed, which is very good, based on us taking one of these, the bow mastery over here, where increases to projectile speed also apply to projectile damage. The Poised Prism is fantastic. It's 20 LE damage with attack skills. If you get this, you can use this until like red maps probably. You just want some good rolls on it. Ideally, if you can get high resists, then that's fantastic. But it's just got lots of flat, and it's got lots of resists. It's fantastic, and you probably never need to change it. Le Hoop of All. This is a great ring. It's just an all-rounder. It costs a couple of chaos. It's got flat. It's got generic increased damage. It's got attributes, it's got elemental resistances, it's got some rarity in there as well, so you get spammed with even more uniques during League launch. Maybe you get a Mage Blood. Prism Weave is a fantastic sash as well. It's, you know, it's got the Rustic Sash base type, which is quite important because then you get the increased fizz damage. It's got fire damage, cold damage, and lightning damage to attacks. It's got also elemental resistances. It makes stuff a lot easier to deal with, and 30% increased elemental damage attack skills during any flask effect. So we're going to be on a flask effect a lot of the time, probably. And with just these things, and I think, is it Purity of Elements or something? I think I've got Purity of Elements on here. Yeah, we're most of the way towards res capped, and this is without another ring, without boots, without gloves, without body armor, without helmet. So it's really easy to res cap with this build. It's super easy. So when it comes to late maps, then you know you can go with a Death Rush Amethyst ring, get that adrenaline for 3 seconds, which is, I mean, I don't want to be doing any stance dancing, so I'm probably not going to go with that. You could go with a Taming as well. I don't have one here, but a Taming is also very good. They're quite expensive though. You can go with Hiri's Truth as well. This is also a very good amulet to have. It's got, you know, Culling Strike, level 30 precision skill, which is just and 100% increased mana reservation efficiency of precision skill as well, which is good because all those mana reservation efficiency specific to auras, defensive auras, got removed from the game. And maybe you don't have the 3 points to go and take a mana reservation node, so a generic 12% one. So these are the things I would recommend for the items. Overall, this is such a strong build, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think I've got an atoll map here. Maybe this is still working. I think this is tier 16. Yeah, I'm on level 83. And this is my build here. I've got a Stygian Vice. I've got a 6-link bow. I've got a 6-link this thing, and the rolls on this. I think I just hit this with a not good Essence of Greed. Yeah, a tier 4 life essence. I think I put just like these aren't good. I used a Chaos Essence on this, and then crafted life. I used a flat essence, I think it was cold essence on this, and I also got tier 4 and tier 5 lightning damage. So this is a total 738 LED DPS bow. I got the Poised Prism here. I got a Death Rush and trying that out. Got a Hoop. I got Hiri's Truth. And yeah, these are just like 50 life on my gloves. No Eldritch Implicits. Not a one. No Eldritch Implicits, and my boots are pretty trash. Not even 30% move speed. And this is a tier 60. So let's see if I actually survive. I mean, I think this was, this is the remnants of a Legion. So this is what it looks like. You just come around and put down your totems and fire with your lightning arrow, and everything dies real quick. I mean, this is, what level am I? I'm level 89. So this is very achievable day one. I think, especially now as Dunes is still in the game. And that means that as Imperial Legacy, the card from that, it drops, and 22 of those you get an Imperial Bow 6-linked. And that means that we're going to have easy access to 6 links unless Dunes is a tier 15 or 16 map or something. Okay, I got 23 monsters remaining. But yeah, and I haven't even leveled up all my gems yet. So it's very easy to just cruise around in maps with this build. And honestly, I love it. And I hope you love it too. If you need any help with this build, please drop by the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/lifewithoutpants. Ask in the YouTube comments down below. I'll have timestamps, obviously, for everything. So, man, I'm really looking forward to League launch. And this is also, there's going to be a huge amount of power creep on these bows as well, because we're going to have passive trees on them. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you try this build out. It's loads of fun. I got 6 ballistas. It's brilliant. I hope you're kind to everyone you meet. I love you all very much. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.